Hello there, it's time for another group of mini movie reviews. And you know what? I was looking over the list of movies that I have to talk about this time, and there are no World War II movies on it. I mean, there's one movie that's about World War One, and there's at least one movie that refers to World War Two, but nothing about the war itself. It's amazing. How long has it been since that happened? Okay, movie number one is a mystery thriller from 1944, Dark Waters, starring Merle Oberon as one of the few survivors of a shipwreck that took her parents' lives. With her own life turned upside down, she leaves the hospital to convalesce with an aunt and uncle living in Louisiana. But when she gets there, she finds there's some pretty bizarre stuff going on. This is a fun, moody flick with good performances all around, including one from one of my favorite character actors, Thomas Mitchell. There's also Francho Tone as the kind doctor who takes an immediate and mutual liking to Merle Oberon's character. Also Elisha Cook Jr. playing a little creep, which is not an unusual role for him. It has some good atmosphere and suspenseful moments as the heroine is pushed to her limits, fearing for her sanity as she wanders the treacherous bayou at night, hearing strange voices calling her name. Is she suffering from survivor's guilt, post-traumatic stress, or is there something more sinister afoot? Oh, and this is Dark Waters with an S, not to be confused with Dark Water, the Japanese horror movie that I talked about a few months ago, or the American remake. Speaking of Japanese movies, movie number two is 1963's Attack of the Mushroom People, also known as Matango. Here's an unusual thing, I'm reviewing a Toho movie directed by Ishiro Honda that does not have Godzilla in it. Still, there are some familiar faces from that series here, including Akira Kubo and one of my favorites, Hiroshi Koizumi. In this seafaring adventure-turned-jungle survival horror flick, an unlikely group of friends and acquaintances go on a boating trip. The uneven ratio of girls to guys causes a little friction, which only gets worse when a storm hits and their battered ship flounders onto the shore of an apparently uninhabited island. They find another ship, but no trace of a crew, and everything's covered in a thick fungus that proves dangerous to consume. In a way, this movie's kind of like a morality tale. There's the two virtuous characters who stand on the sidelines while everybody else goes crazy, and as behavior declines, there's sort of a parade of deadly sins. Lust, greed, sloth, wrath, gluttony. And of course, where there are mushrooms, there've gotta be some weird hallucinations. All in all, it's a different pace from the kaiju movies, but there are still some similarities. It's got a dark tone and a twist ending that was interesting, and the antagonists, or monsters, while they're more goofy than scary, are still creepy in their own way. Movie number three is The Undying Monster from 1942. Here's a stylish monster movie I'd never heard of before from 20th Century Fox. I could tell you what kind of monster it is we're dealing with here, but I feel like that's just a little bit of a spoiler. I'll just say that Fox seemed to take a couple notes from one of Universal's successful monster movies that had come out the year before. The setting plays a big part in this movie. Most of the action occurs at a spooky English mansion on the coast, the home of a family with a terrible curse on it that passes through each generation. But is the curse real, or is it just a sickness? This is also in part a detective story, as a pair of outsiders, including a wisecracking lady detective scientist played by Heather Thatcher, try to determine if they're dealing with something supernatural or not. It's an interesting movie, not terribly frightening, but spooky and well made and with its own touches of originality. I would not recommend watching it on YouTube as I did. The quality is inferior, and based on these film stills, I think the movie deserves better. Movie number four is our token war movie, titled Beneath Hill 60. This is a World War I film from 2010, based on a true story that I'd never heard before, about a group of Australian miners and tunnelers who are ordered to dig tunnels under no man's land that cross over into enemy territory, their eventual goal being to blow up as many Germans as possible. The work, which is strenuous and claustrophobic under normal conditions, is made even more dangerous because the Germans have caught on to their plans and are making their own underground tunnels to intercept them. Like most World War I movies I've seen, this film is muddy and desperate and often makes you wonder, what's the point of it all? and there's one British character here who made me so angry. But it's a good movie, very well acted, and not without some uplifting moments despite it all. Movie number 5 is a film I can finally cross off my Edward G. Robinson watch list, The Red House from 1947. In this movie, Robinson and Judith Anderson play uncle and aunt to a young girl they've raised since babyhood on their farm. Due to a wooden leg and advancing age, he's struggling with farm work, and the girl begs him to take on an extra hand, a boy from school who she totally has a crush on, but who's already going steady with the local glamour girl, played by young Julie London. The boy is hired, but almost immediately he and his new employer butt heads when he wants to take a shortcut home through the woods, and Edward G. Robinson forbids him. There are a lot of different layers to this story. It's a mystery, a drama, a tragedy. Robinson is great at playing both strong men and weak men, and he's especially good when he's both, the strong man made weak. You never know what you're going to get with his character here. I also found myself really enjoying the two main young people, played by Lon McAllister and Aileen Roberts in her film debut. I felt much more involved in their story than I expected to get. I'm not so sure about the fourth member of their love quadrangle, though, who I dubbed Gaston. It's Rory Calhoun, and I think he's supposed to be intimidating here, or maybe sexy, like the sexy stranger in the woods, but between his overly perfect lumberjack poses and his hair and his spotty acting, he just made me laugh every time he showed up. But while that might have shifted the mood a couple times, it didn't stop me from enjoying the movie. I like the engrossing story with its secrets and mystery, and the engaging characters and touches of country charm. Movie number 6 is 1959's Northwest Frontier. The only thing I didn't like about this movie was the title, which is so nondescript and borderline irrelevant that I'm always going to struggle to remember it. There is an alternate US title, Flame Over India. I'm not sure that's much better. And there's also another alternate title, Empress of India, which is probably the best of the bunch, as that's the name of the train in the movie. Anyway, this is a good adventure, a light epic. Kenneth More plays a soldier in India in the year 1905 who's ordered to bring a young Hindu prince and his governess, played by Lauren Bacall, to safety away from the warring Muslim tribes who killed his father and want to murder him. This is probably not a politically correct movie. In addition to the two stars, who play off each other very nicely, the film also features a solid ensemble cast that includes the ever-delightful Wilfred Hyde-White and Herbert Lom, one of my favorites. The bulk of the story is concerned with a cross-country train journey fraught with danger and tension, as the disparate occupants face attacks from without and opposition from within. I do love a good train movie and a good historical adventure, and this is both. Plus, with all the different characters, several of them very endearing, I found a lot to enjoy here. Movie number 7 is 1947's Fear in the Night, which stars DeForest Kelley, yep, that's Dr. McCoy from Star Trek in his feature film debut, as a man who starts to wonder if the strange dream he had in which he murdered someone was actually a suppressed memory. As the pieces start to come together, he asks his detective brother for help, a situation that may turn difficult if it's revealed that he did kill someone. Technically, according to the original billing, the brother character, played by Paul Kelly, is the star, but I was paying more attention to DeForest Kelley, who looks so young here. It was a lot of fun to see him in something other than Star Trek, and something other than Night of the Lepus, which, hey, also had Rory Calhoun in it. I will mention that we watched it on Amazon Prime, and the quality was not great. I know there are a couple bootlegs currently on YouTube. The quality of those might be better than the quality of the one on Amazon Prime, or it might be worse. The quality of the old movies that Amazon Prime has to offer is very inconsistent. Sometimes they look like badly damaged bootlegs, but sometimes, as was the case with Northwest Frontier and The Red House, they look fantastic. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't want to complain too much, though, because I am grateful that Amazon Prime does offer these movies, while a lot of their competition does not. Movie number 8 is a film I heard about through Laura G. from the blog Laura's Miscellaneous Musings, whose taste I have such good faith in that pretty much any time she highly recommends an old movie that I am not familiar with, I have to put it on my list. This time, the movie was 1947's Angel and the Badman, a nice Western romance in which a charmingly natural John Wayne stars opposite a lovely, luminous Gail Russell. It's another kind of morality tale. Wayne's character is a troubled good guy turned bad, just one step away from being murdered or hanged. Escaping his enemies with a serious gunshot wound, he's picked up by a Quaker family who take him in, nurse him back to health, and show him a more peaceful way of life. It's a really good romance, but also has plenty of classic Western scenes to thrill you, and it's pretty funny, too. I've said before that I'm not a huge John Wayne fan, although I'm starting to suspect that I always say that in the context of, I'm not a huge John Wayne fan, but I really liked him in X, Y, or Z, and that's the case here. I really liked him in this movie. I guess I enjoy him most when he's being the least like the John Wayne that everyone expects him to be, if that makes any sense. And the last movie, number 9, is 2018's, actually 2017's, The Bookshop. This one's a quiet 1950s English period piece, ideal for lovers of reading and books. Emily Mortimer stars as a widow who sets her heart on opening a bookshop in a rundown old house. But instead of encouragement, she faces mostly prejudice and opposition from those in her small coastal community. Her main enemy is a wealthy, snobbish, possibly mentally unhinged, but stylish woman played by Patricia Clarkson, who isn't afraid to use the powerful connections at her disposal to go after the bookshop. I really enjoyed the costumes in this one, and the screenplay, which is based on a book by Penelope Fitzgerald, has several clever lines. Most of these are given to Bill Nighy, who plays a reclusive older gentleman with a voracious appetite for reading, but not for people. He quickly became my favorite character, partly because of the great things he said and the way he said them, but also because of the wonderful way he gets hooked on Ray Bradbury when Mortimer introduces him to his writing. Not all was wonderful with the movie, though. I enjoyed the first half quite a lot, but found the second half to be bleak and depressing. I was conflicted about the ending, terribly disappointed about one thing that happens, and there was one character that I would have been happy to see get punched in the nose. But on the whole, I did enjoy the movie, especially Bill Nighy's part. Okay, that's it. There is one other thing that I spent a good chunk of March watching, but it will get its own review in a few days. I'll give you a hint. It fills the World War II void. I hope you enjoyed this video and the usual hodgepodge of selections. Let me know what you think of them, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.